All right. Good morning, you guys. Hey. Take a look at the person next to you. Say God loves you and I love you too. Feel the love and the unity. Lift your voice, repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize God in you. Feel the love and the unity. Lift your voice, repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. Everyone alive. Every creed and color and kinship unite in honor of God and each other. Yeah, take a look at the person next to you. Say namaste, I bow to you. Feel the love and the unity. Lift your voice, repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of
All right, welcome. Whoops. Welcome one and all. Did I turn my, oh, there I am. There's my God voice. So, you want to come on up? So, welcome. My name's Reverend Michael McMorrow. This is your first time joining us. I'm the senior minister here at the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, California. We're located in the North San Fernando Valley, a place where we welcome all who practice their beliefs in faith and love. I'm joined this morning by our presider, Andrea Recht, who is also our board president. And, yeah, sure, give her some love. And Ken Francis and Jason Goldstein, our music team. And all of you here in the sanctuary. So if you have been a little shy about coming in here, come on down. You know, it's safe and we're sane, so you can have a good time in spirit here at the center. All right, so let's get underway by taking a deep conscious breath and release as we allow ourselves to surrender to this eternal now moment as we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Now, fundamental to this truth is a unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this morning. So as Andrea lights the first candle, it is for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. The third candle we light for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. The fourth candle we light for Judaism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here at our center, within our online community, and within our own hearts. And as Andrea lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
There is one flame that burns in our hearts. There is one light that shines through our love. We light this flame with faith. We light this flame with faith. We find this light within our own souls. There is one flame, one light within.
And it is with a very deeply grateful heart that I invite you to join me in this moment of prayer, recognizing that there is one power, one presence, and one life of all, and no other power exists outside of the infinite. One life, one flame, one eternal, perfect wholeness, goodness, peace, joy, love, that is the very expression of my life. I am expressing as it because it is everywhere present all the time. I am grateful to know that this service is in fact a divine idea in the mind of infinite intelligence and unfolds with absolute perfection from this moment forward. That everything unfolds in perfect order, and we wake up just a little bit more today by means of this service. We anchor ourselves ever more deeply in truth, the truth that we teach here, the truth that we know to be the truth of our being, that God is all there is. So I bless Reverend Mike as he steps forward and allows the Word of God to speak through him, as him. And I know that we are blessed indeed. And I give thanks for this knowingness as I lovingly release this word to that aspect of infinite intelligence known as law, which always and only says, yes, my beloved, yes. So I know it is so, I know it is done. And in agreement, we simply say together, and so it is. Good morning, beloved community. It's wonderful to be here. It's wonderful to see you here, and it's wonderful to see you joining us on the live stream. I was reminded last week that each week after Reverend Mike gives his talk, he invites us to practice an aspect of what he talked about during the week, and then to report back to him and let us all know how it went. So last week, we spent a couple of minutes actually during service turning within and exploring the vast infinite within ourselves, turning away from the external and moving to the internal. And although meditation is part of my daily practice, I intentionally and deliberately spent a little more time this week exploring that internal landscape. And I was thinking about a moment that I had many years ago in an AA meeting where the gentleman who was to speak came up to the podium and just closed his eyes for a moment or two. And for me at the time, I think it was early in my sobriety, it felt like, what's wrong with this guy? Is he okay, Because he just stood there with his eyes closed. And when he opened his eyes before he started his talk, he just kind of smiled and he said, "It's so good to dance with the angels." And that's kind of the experience that I have at times in contemplative meditation, turning within. I was sharing in the first service that I spent about an hour at the pool one day this week just observing the light, the sunlight on the water. And every now and then I'd take a handful of water and just watch the ripples. And then at one point, it felt like there were little waves in the water, the way the sun was hitting it. I told Mike I might leave this part out, but I found myself thinking, if I had done this on hallucinogens years ago, it would have been super trippy. I mean, it was trippy anyway, to just watch the sunlight on the water, the way it all moved. I'm also reminded of a song by a woman named Donna Delori that I really love. The song is Hey Ma Durga, and it's a Hindu chant honoring the divine feminine. And in the song she says, "I want to love through your love. I want to feel what you feel. I want to see beyond this illusion to what is real." And that's kind of what I find myself experiencing when I take time out to be in the stillness and the silence. I shared in the first service that today my mom has been gone for 10 years today. Yesterday was my daughter's birthday, and when my mom was making her transition, we were like, "Oh, please don't die on my daughter's birthday, please don't, But she waited a day and died the day after, made her transition to her next greatest yet to be on this day 10 years ago. I miss her a lot every day still. And then I came across this picture that Evan's going to project for us. I shared with you all sometime last year or the year before about my adoption history and story. So my mom was my mom, but she was the woman who adopted me when I was 2 days old. And a few years ago, I did an ancestry DNA search, and I found some family in North Carolina. And I got to meet 3 full-blooded biologic brothers. And nieces and nephews, and one of my cousins gave me this photograph of Lawson Brooks, who is my biological maternal grandfather, full-blooded Tuscaroran Indian. And there he is cleaning a fish in his Native American headdress. And when she showed me that picture, I just got tears in my eyes. I never met him, but it was told to me that he used to go down to the river and you could hear him in town praying in his Native American language. And that just still sends shivers through me. Ernest Holmes says that by thinking, we can bring into our experience whatever we desire, not by holding thoughts, but by knowing the truth. And this is what we get to practice here together. I'm glad you're here to practice with me. Thank you.
When the best of me is barely breathing, when I'm not somebody that I believe in, hold on to me. And when I miss the light the night has stolen, when I'm slamming on the doors you open, hold on to me now. Hold on to me. Hold on to me when it's too dark to see you, when I am sure to me when I forget I need you. When I let go, please hold me again. And when I don't feel like I'm worth defending, when I'm tired of all my pretending, just hold on to me now. And when I start to break in desperation underneath the weight of expectation, hold on to me. Oh, hold on to me. Hold on to me when it's too dark to see you, when I'm sure that I've reached the end. Hold on to me when I forget I need you. If I let go, please hold me again. I could rest here in your arms forever, 'cause I know nobody can love me better. Hold on to me now. Hold on to me. Thank you.
us know how much we appreciate, let them know how much we appreciate our music ministry.
Thank you.
I hope you know how much we appreciate you guys. Thank you. That was beautiful. I know that it touched us deeply and opened us, cracked us open. That's what you're good at doing. So I'm going to highlight some of the announcements. First of all, if you would like support in prayer, we're available. You can find a practitioner at cslgh.org, or you can fill out a prayer request form and put it in the box on the counter in the lobby, and the practitioners will hold you in prayer. Today, our Zoom fellowship meeting is being facilitated by Agneta, one of our practitioners who is in Arizona, but she will be hosting the Zoom fellowship meeting. And Kathy, Reverend Kathy, is facilitating the animal kinship group today at 1 o'clock. So if you're struggling with the loss of a pet, or you just want to celebrate the joy of your pet, join Kathy and do that through the animal kinship group, which she heads up. Bereavement support group with Reverend Jessica is coming up next Sunday at 1 o'clock. And the Law of Attraction group will be meeting on October 10th with Mike Carland in the back. And as you know, our fall fling is hopefully going to be a spring fling again, as it was intended to be, but it has been postponed. And I want to mention the class that Reverend Mike is going to be starting at the end of this month on Tuesdays. It's an advanced metaphysics class, which will act as the practitioner training class. But you don't need to be training to be a practitioner. You can come if you're already a practitioner. And that's going to be starting up this month on Tuesdays, probably 7 to 10. Okay, so we're going to do the declaration of, did you say something? 6:30. 6:30, I beg your pardon. Okay, so please join me in the Declaration of Principles. If you'd like to stand, that would be great. And here they are. We believe in one universal spirit, manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe that the universal spirit is personal to and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe that our faith operates upon a law of mind which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life and in the immortality of the individual soul forever expanding. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the givingness of life to all.
2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Heaven's inside of us. Heaven's inside of us. Oh, a spirit of nature within and without. Now that I know that God's here right now. Oh, heaven's inside of me. Heaven's inside of you. Yes, heaven's inside.
inside of us. Oh, heaven's inside of us. Oh, heaven's inside of us.
All right, yes, heaven's inside of us. So again, if you're just joining us, my name is Reverend Michael McMorrow. I am the senior minister here at the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills. We welcome you. And if you're local, we really welcome you. So there's still room here in the sanctuary. So the seating, for now anyway, we do have limited seating, but we have plenty of room. So if you've been wanting to come in and feel the vibe of being here live, then come on down. We'd love to have you here. And so through this month of September, we've been working on this notion of reaching higher. And should I just turn this microphone off? All right. So now I got to remember to talk into this one with all my moving around. Okay, there we go. So continuing with the theme, as I said, of the month of September, which is reaching higher. So we have explored this theme not only as a theme, but as a talk title for the first Sunday of the month. Last week we were speaking to the notion of transcend and include. Boy, this is going to be... I got to get used to doing this with this kind of microphone again. See, the problem is I have these cheaters on, and when I go like this, I can't see. So treat for my eyeballs. All right. So we've been working with this idea of reaching higher, transcend, and include, which are high-minded intentions, to be sure. Yeah. I'm going to do this so I can move around. Okay. Because I can't stand still. All right, so working in tandem on Tuesdays with Dr. Maureen was her class where they really raised the bar in this way. And that is, of course, the Prosperity Potpourri class. They just finished their last class this past week. So even if you did not join the class, perhaps you felt yourself feeling a little lighter lately, like your attitude's a little lighter. Maybe you've been feeling a bit more prosperous. So it's been my experience when we have these types of classes, the prosperity of the entire center gets lifted because it's positively affected as the positive thought vibrations being raised by this focused group of individuals raise the lives of those around them as well. And so in this way, we all benefit. And it seems like it's particularly prosperity classes, but it seems like anytime we have people in class, we are raising the vibration generally of the membership of the center. So if you've been feeling that, maybe that's part of it. Now, one of the big takeaways this past week is that they were working with the fourth agreement, which is always do your best. And Dr. Maureen wrote this, always do your best. By this, Ruiz means that to do the best you can at any given moment so that you have no regrets. So some days, your best is not going to be as good as other days, and we need to be okay with that. So as long as we are putting an honest effort into life, we will have nothing to be ashamed of. We won't beat ourselves up for a less than stellar performance in retrospect. Always do your best. So in a way, it's kind of keeping the front stoop clean, the front stoop of our consciousness, yeah? Now, of course, this is after weeks of exploring the first three agreements, those being be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, because we all know what assumptions do. And always do your best. Now, to me, when I think of these first 3 steps, they're really about offboarding the excess baggage that we carry around with us. Some that we're aware of, and then there's the stuff that we're not aware of. And this is what is discovered in these kinds of classes. So if we don't know what's going on deeper levels, it can make it difficult to affect lasting change unless we are willing to commit to that focus, discover, and release these old patterns of thought, these old patterns of behavior, which no longer serve us. So one day at a time, we are impeccable with our word. We don't take anything personally. We don't make assumptions. We always do our best. And then in this way, we give ourselves a spiritual reboot. A reboot where we shift and lift the tendency of our thought towards a life of design rather than a life of default, as Mary Morrissey would say. Now, many people around us right now are in the middle of a huge reboot. So for those who have children or grandchildren who are still in school, you are aware of this as schools and parents and kids are trying to navigate life in this completely different environment. And for the kids, trying to do all of this and then trying to learn something new at the same time. So teachers who are rightly tasked with student safety now have these COVID protocols to contend with for the students and, of course, for themselves as well. So it must be difficult. I imagine it's difficult to try and maintain a consciousness of mindfulness rather than fearfulness as you're in this environment. Our businesses are cautiously reopening. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to shop. I'm ready to get back out there and start doing it again and do it in a mindful way. You know, even here in Granada Hills on October 23rd, we're going to have the street fair is returning. So we're going to, I'll check with the board today, but I'd like to do a booth there ourselves and figure out how to man that. But however we do it, we're going to be doing it mindfully. And here at the center, I can tell you that we are watching the numbers mindfully and also optimistically, because the truth is, Los Angeles County has been doing a really good job, that the curve is bending and that the numbers are working in our favor. We're one of the most populous counties nationally, and yet we are really working at this. So your work of wearing these masks and doing all this stuff, you know, and going through the inconvenience of that is paying off. And it's important to remember also that it's not going to be like this forever. And at the same time, it's not going to be the way it was, because we're different. It's going to be different, and we're different. A lot of stuff has happened through this time, right? Some people have had real stuff, real difficult stuff to contend with, and contend without the regular social graces, right? The interface where we can support each other, whether it's in places of worship or even losing ourselves for a few hours in a rock concert, right? Not with the enhancements that Andrea was talking about, though. So it's not going to be the same, it's going to be different. So whether that's a good thing or not will depend on us as individuals and as citizens, as together we create a world that works for all. So, reaching higher, transcend and include. And then today we're looking at when the road gets rocky. When the road gets rocky. So, is there anyone here who cannot relate to the idea of having to navigate the rocky road once in a while, right? The stony path. The path less traveled. So, I found this reminder in the Hebrew tradition. Go to O'Melveny. No, I found this reminder. Commit your work to the Lord and your plans will be established. Commit your work to the Lord and your plans will be established. Another way we can say that, and many people have said it, is keep thy eye single. That's what Paul said. Keep your eye on the prize. Dr. King said that. Play like a champion today. That's what they say. The Notre Dame football team has this sign that they hit as they go down the tunnel before they hit the stadium. And begin with the end in mind. So Stephen Covey of his 7 spiritual laws of success. Now, from the ancients to the latest self-help meme, what we're learning is that there is power in focus. So have you found when we have a new project that the beginning of the project is where it's always easy to be enthusiastic, right? The beginning of a project is full of promise and something new and profitable. It's like a new day has dawned, that there's a spring in our step. We have, our will is strong and determined at the beginning of a project. And then we have a slip. We revert to old patterns. Or we find ourselves getting pep talks from the boss, or worse, by email. Our enthusiasm wanes. And what once was a glass half full has now become a glass half empty. And it's only noon, and you had a 24-point breakfast, and you still have 12 hours to go. So that's a Weight Watchers joke. I guess no one here has had to do that. All right. Now, bringing it back to work, these examples may be extreme, but we can all relate to them in some way, I know. And for those of you who own your own businesses, who motivates the motivator? Who motivates the motivator? Someone who's in sales. Who motivates the motivator? Now, it has been my experience that anything worth working for, anything that we really have to stretch for, whether it's a larger contract, that promotion that we're ready for, or even stepping into a drawing class when we think we can't draw. For anything worth doing, there will be times along the way when the path gets rocky. For people of faith, we have tools that we can use, that we can utilize to get us back on track in no time. Now, the first thing we need to remember, of course, as Holmes said in this textbook, that our mind must remain firm in the conviction that our life is a part of God and that the Spirit is incarnate in us. Our mind must remain firm in the conviction that our life is a part of God and that the Spirit is incarnate in us. Now, this is not always easy to remember when we're in full tilt, red alert, overwhelm mode. But this is precisely the time to up-level our spiritual practice. And this has its payoffs. As Joel Goldsmith encourages us, really, that when consciousness rises to that place of devotion where God is God for us, only by God himself then we will have reached the infinite part of life. the place of devotion where we know that God is for us. Now, I got to tell you, before coming to New Thought, I never really thought about God as being for me. In fact, I would even say, as the way I understood it, that this was a difficult task for me to understand, because what I knew about all that was that there were 10 commandments, and I had a good time breaking most of them. So I never really thought of God being for me. And frankly, I don't think I really embraced this idea or even this possibility until I started really doing the work in practitioner class, or what we're calling this year advanced metaphysics. Because what's really being called to be healed is this key notion that we are one with the Spirit. So Holmes writes at the, whoops, that ain't right. Holmes writes that the whole purpose of the science of mind is to reconcile the apparent separation of the spiritual world, which must be perfect, with the material world, which appears imperfect. The spiritual world is the cause of the material. We are spiritual beings governed by mental law. So wherever this consciousness lacks a true perspective, its outward expression will lack proper harmony. And this is why we are taught to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. So when the way feels difficult, when the path gets rocky, we reframe the challenge from a place of spiritual insight. And we can always ask the question put forth by Mary O'Malley when she says, what if what is in the way is the way? What if that obstacle that is in the way is the way? Now, I don't know about you, but in hindsight, looking back, it seems like that has often, exactly, the thing that I thought was the biggest problem turned out to have the solution already within it. And so what we learn to do as people who are spiritually aware is that we know that this truth is in there. That this spiritual truth is within any seeming challenge or obstacle that appears to be in our way. And we look for the spiritual truth in it. What is it that this thing is trying to teach me right now? So we are committed to living life integrated with spirit, and then life begins to shift. Now it may begin, and often I would add, without us even really knowing that it's shifting. And it may begin with simply an awareness that we feel less tired. We find ourselves sleeping better. The stress eating abates. We find ourselves intuitively guided to better decisions. We are more decisive without being divisive. We find ourselves more resilient. And then one day we realize we've been feeling pretty good for a few days in a row now. And then a few weeks, and then a month goes by. And before we know it, that rocky road is a story of victory rather than a tale of woe. We have successfully turned that rocky road into rocky road. And baby, it tastes good. It is a sweet spot of life. And so we have then, what happens next is we have this awareness, for those of us who have been in this teaching for some time now, that we start to see life differently. that we start to remember when we're in the soup, we start to remember sooner rather than later that there's another way of looking at life, that we can reframe anything that's going on, still deal with it. We're not pretending like it's not there. We're simply reframing it. Because we've learned, as this graphic from Dr. Maureen's class shows, that there's this whole arena of things that we worry about. We worry about all the stuff that's going on out there in the world, and there's a lot of it, isn't there? And if we're not aware of it and we're on our phone, it'll remind us every time we pick it up, right? So there's the things that we worry about. And then there's the things that can happen, like within our own life. All these things could happen to me. And then if we're honest in looking back and seeing what actually happened, then we see that the things that do happen are actually pretty small. So it comes back to this notion that, life, as Scott Peck wrote years ago, life is difficult. There's no getting around it. Right? The Buddha said that the whole trick to this thing called life is to navigate suffering and how to transcend that. And the answer that he had for that. Basically, it's understanding that although there is pain in life, that the suffering component of it is the part that we can actually have an impact on. That our consciousness creates our reality. And that we can shift and lift the tendency of our thought to where even the suffering eases. And we have an understanding of the reality, the larger our reality behind all of life. So Eckhart Tolle wrote that at the level of being, one recognizes that all suffering is illusory, that suffering is due solely to identification with the form. Now why this is important is because we know that infinity fills all molds and always flows into new and larger molds, and that within us is the possibility of unlimited experiences, and it is our privilege to give birth to them. So let's call our musicians forward and understand that the way that we live our life, as John Waterhouse wrote in his book, the way we live our lives is our prayer. And our beliefs and conceptions is what drives our lives. So as we become willing to identify and to heal those aspects of our life which no longer serve us, we feel the transformation happening. We give witness to the demonstration of the living spirit making itself known in our life. And we get to experience that rocky road as rocky road. So as we go through our day today, let's look for ways that we can do just that. How can we enjoy the sweet spot of life and allow ourselves to surrender to that childlike experience when the world was new and we were free of judgment and could surrender to love easily and without hesitation. Try that today. Take it into your week and see how it went, and come back and report next week. Thank you.
still my mind, be at peace. In my awakening, I release with my heart, free my soul. In my awakening, I am whole. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti. Shanti Om, Shanti Om, Shanti Om, Shanti Om, Shanti Om, Shanti. As I love and as I give, in my awakening, I choose to live. Give me strength. Shine your light in my awakening. Clear my sight. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti.
And so as we step into the vibration of this eternal Om and this divine love, Om Shanti, we allow ourselves to open in this moment to that cosmic download of the goodness of the living Spirit. We allow ourselves to be fortified and activated by this divine vibration of good, recognizing that it is the Infinite One that is activating us now at the deepest levels of our being, activating ways of love, ways of thought, of insight, of connectedness, that allow us to experience the sweetness of life, that we know our cares and concerns are burned away in this beautiful light of purification of this Om Shanti moment. And so we surrender. We surrender the ways of being that no longer serve us, even as we align with that divine song that carries us into greater ways of being. We feel a sense of deep gratitude and appreciation for the many blessings in our life. From this place, may all beings know peace. May all beings be free. May all beings be happy.
All I believe and all I know, in my awakening I let go. fill me with hope, and tell God my fears. In my awakening, God will hear. Om Shanti 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 Om Shanti
Good for you for sitting with that for a few moments. So let's give the lads a nice namaste, shall we? Or clap. All right, so this is the time for our service for the offering. So if you are here and you're prepared to give a physical offering today, the basket is up here. Just come up one at a time. And for those of you who are practicing your generosity electronically at home, there are many ways in which you can participate. If you're on the website, just hit the donate button. That'll take you to PayPal. If you're on your phone, just hit the donate button. That'll take you to PayPal. If you're on YouTube, just hit the icon. That'll take you to PayPal. And if you hit the donate button on Facebook, that'll take you to Mr. Zuckerberg's personal account, and he blesses us accordingly. Or if you want to continue to send in your blessing through the mail, there is our address, and the lads will now take us into our offering song to give you time to do that.
3, 4.
Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit gives through you, Spirit receives through you, Spirit lives and breathes through you. Spirit lives and breathes through you. Spirit gives through us, Spirit receives through us, Spirit lives and breathes through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us.
So going within for just a moment longer, recognizing and knowing that this basket represents the many ways in which you practice generosity with your spiritual community. that we understand that this generosity is coming from that place of consciousness, that of the individual that knows and knows that it knows that God is our source, our substance, our supply. And so we, representing this spiritual community here in the room and with you online, we accept these gifts with deep love and respect, knowing they go forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless, and not only the vision and mission of this center and its online effort, but anyone who's connected to this center in any way, that we extend this blessing to our friends and neighbors in this community of Granada Hills, our city of Los Angeles, our state of California, our United States of America, all of its churches, temples, mosques, our schools and universities, the people who attend them, the people who support them, that we know for our planet as well, that there is a cosmic, divine idea fully in expression, and to the extent that we know this to be so, we see it. We see it demonstrating in those ways, great and small. They lift our hearts, they propel us into ways of living that raise not only our own lives, but the lives of those around us, and that's a good thing. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. Amen. So please help me thank Mr. Jason Goldstein today on the far side over there, and our featured artist of the day, our music director, Mr. Ken Francis.
Thank you.
Thank you to Evan and Michael Carlin in the back, who are in service and really making all the live stream and tech stuff happen. So we love and appreciate you, and I love and appreciate all of you and those of you joining us online. So we'll see you next week, and let's get Andre to pray us out.
How very grateful I am for this opportunity to be present to this divine awakening. How very grateful I am to be anchored ever more deeply in this perfect awareness that God is all there is. I'm grateful for the opportunity to see that what I think is in the way is actually the way. And the way in is the way out. And I begin to not describe what I see, but I am awake to the realization that I am able to see that which I describe in these moments of contemplation and communion. I give thanks for having been cracked wide open to a deeper awareness of my life as the life of God. And in this awakening, I am whole. Blessing each of us as we travel to our next destination. Enjoying the rest of this beautiful day. I'm so grateful. I lovingly give thanks. And in agreement with this word spoken, we simply say together, and so it is. Amen.
Please stand to sing the peace song. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. That was meant to be, with God as the power, united all our way. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now, with every 4.